a little box and have smaller quantities, if you can, of all your products. You know, your tire dressing, your polishes, your waxes. I always make sure that I have a little vial of my touch-up paint for my wheels, for my car, a little satin black for engine components and stuff like that. If you have your little paint, you have 3 or 4 little artist brushes that you use for different touch-ups. Make sure you bring a little bit of lacquer thinner along because you got to clean up your brushes. And then you're going to want some wax and grease remover, because where you're touching up things, you know, that you got to take the wax off before you touch it up so that you get a nice bond. Also, the wax and grease remover, it's like a bug and tar remover. It's the same type of formula, if you will, and that'll help loosen that. So prepare that in advance. When you arrive at the Concours, you know, arrive as early as you can. And people, I think they laugh at me because with 1 minute to go, I'm still on my back with my paintbrush in my hand, and I'm underneath the car, and I'm trying to touch something up. But that's fun to me, and I enjoy that. And so you use every minute that you have to finish preparing that car from the drive there. And walk around and look.
Hey, while we're talking about that, one thing that isn't mentioned before, you know where your valve stem is in the tire? Make sure you clean around it. Because a lot of times we just miss that. You know, it's just that little bit of Q-tip that go around the backside of the valve stem.
Yeah, and Jim McMahon, you can certainly chime in anywhere with this process, because you are probably one of the most experienced Concours people here. There's a very rich history with it. You helped with this car and in many areas too. So, and Les, I mean, you don't have a corner in this one. That's for darn sure. So, I know a lot of you aren't showing in a full class. So we aren't going to spend a lot of time on it. But the comment that I make here is undercarriage takes days and weeks. If you're going to be in the full class, if you want to be competitive, you've got to spend tons of time under there. I can remember with our 993, which was a full car, I was so proud of that car. I spent, and that's when I didn't have a lift, I had jack stands, 2 weeks under the car. There's not a spot of cosmos. We're always talking about the cosmos. I'm sorry I took it off now, but you know, all the brake work, the belly pan's off the car. We're cleaning under the belly pan to get everything spotless in the belly pan. First, I do my wheel cleaner, let it sit there, I scrub it, scrub it, scrub it, scrub it, scrub it, I wash it off, I let it dry, I look at it. If I feel like I have a really nice finish and I don't have any of the mold release that you can have on tires, then I'll prepare it with my 303. If I have any of that, then a lot of times I'll use an SOS pad and I'll go over the tire with the SOS pad, wash it off again, and then if it's clean, then I'll prepare it. On the inside, I'll take my wax and grease remover and I'll clean the back side of the wheel where I have some tar build up in there and stuff. The wax and grease remover will take that off, and then I polish it, and then I wax it, just to make it real nice and clean. Even if you're in the street class, come on, if you're a judge and you're looking, and you can look at, let's face it, some of your cars with big ass wheels on them, you can see way deep in there, and if you see that that's just beautifully clean, just beautifully clean, then you're already setting an attitude about the quality of this car, and it gives you an idea that, hey, this guy was serious about it.
When you mentioned polish, clarify that for me. Are you polishing like chrome, or are you doing something else?
I say pay particular attention where grease and oil are, all of your grease fittings under there. That's where grease, your steering box, oil, grease seems to coagulate around. You know where it leaks, and so before a Concours, I know where I have to get under the bumper, get the backside, get all this stuff underneath here, and then I go underneath the engine and I clean the engine. But we drove it because in that preservation class, you get points for driving your car, depending on how many miles. We know that it's 271 miles to Monterey from our house, and you probably do too if you entered the Concours, because they tell you I mean, when our entrance came back, it said you're 271 miles away from the event. So it's nice to be able to not trailer it. Okay, and then it doesn't matter whether it's the undercarriage or the engine or whatever it is, have someone take a look at your work. When you're ready to put the car down, put it back on the ground, have somebody go over there, whether it's your wife or a friend, and just double check. You know, they can put a blindfold on. This isn't rocket science. We're looking for dirt and grime and grease and gook. You can go in there blindfold and just start you touch everything just to try to find anything. And if you find something, go back in and clean it a little bit more. Yes. You can certainly use white gloves, but yeah, I mean, realistically, yes. You can see it, and this is the one that we hide. It's not the original Forrest Gump.
I don't think it was
Pardon? Anywhere that they can get their fingers in here, you know, back up in here. It's all anywhere. This. To prepare right, you take it down, you prepare behind there just in case they can get their finger in there. If you can get what you can, get your finger in here, you know, and go around. You know, you put a dent, but if there was if they had stairs in there, you would find that, right? Right. All in here, and that's why I said, now this might be dirty, but yeah, there's a little bit. I may have put some on after parade. Because the fact is, I would pull the latch and the damn thing wasn't popping up because it was so sticky. But, it's not rocket science. I kept telling Rachel, I said, they want us to talk about I'll tell you what, and do you see the lug nuts on the side here? You see how they have a lot of use to them? They have 40 years worth of use. So we were in the preservation class. Now, I'll tell you this, I went through with a magic marker and I detailed every single lug nut for parade. After parade, I was talking with one of the judges and he said, you shouldn't have done it. You should have just left them the way they were because your car is a preservation car and the judges will appreciate that patina. You can tell that they're straight, they're clean, but after 40 years of use, they will have imperfections on them, and we expect to see that. So, whether or not they took any points off for that, because they didn't mark anything on the score sheets. Everything was just, how does this car look? What's the patina? Does it look clean? I mean, that preservation class was just outstanding.
That whole true from street class.
No, street class different. You want it to be, there's not one imperfection anywhere to be found. So you would not touch those out.
Pardon? Magic marker.